Hello, and welcome back to Transform. I am so excited you are here today. You just have myself, Sami Spalter, here. We are missing other Sam, but we are here to chat all things about me deciding that I no longer want to drink alcohol. I want to live my life alcohol-free. I posted 2 months ago that I just celebrated 1 year without alcohol. And gosh, y'all, I mean, the amount that has happened in that year for me, the amount of confidence I have found from within, the amount of love I have been met with. I mean, truly, no one has pressured me. So much of why I want to record this episode is for the person who needs the permission to make a really great choice for themselves. Because I think in life, we all tend to do what everyone else is doing. And by me choosing to say no to alcohol, I definitely was choosing something for myself that wasn't the popular opinion. And what's been such a beautiful lesson in that is that everyone around me really honored that for me. And I've changed my life in doing so. So the intention of today's episode is to chat all things living life alcohol-free and just living my best life, guys. At the end of the day, this is such a small aspect of my life, but it's made such big impact on my life. And I'm so excited to share more. When I did share back in February that I was celebrating a year without alcohol, I was met with so much curiosity from you. I was met with so much encouragement from you. And I was also met with such a deep understanding that so many of you are also choosing a life without alcohol. And I'm so proud of you for already doing that. Or if you're listening to this because you are curious to make that decision for yourself, I'm so proud of you for even being here to listen. And if you're listening and you're like, dang, I love my red wine, I love my beer, I love my spicy marg, go you. There is zero judgment from myself towards you if that is the life that you are choosing for yourself. I am just here to remind you that you deserve to make the best decisions and choices for your own life, as I do for mine. When I was reflecting on my first year without alcohol, I love to journal, as you guys know, and I wrote down some really big takeaways that I want to read for you guys. And the reason I wrote them down and I want to read them is because I don't want to mess any of them up, and because I think there's so many gifts for all of us in these takeaways. So here are my biggest takeaways after a year of choosing to live life without alcohol. I'm not missing out on anything. I'm gaining so much more. My inner circle never judged me. They supported and celebrated me. My mornings without hangovers are actual magic. Confidence does not come from a drink. It all comes from within. My joy and energy were never tied to alcohol. They were always mine. And yes, my sober dance moves are way better than I thought. Guys, I have been to over 20 weddings and so many other events without drinking. And it's been so amazing to feel my confidence, to see the light that I have that honestly was so dimmed from alcohol. I think so many of us choose alcohol to give us that confidence that we're looking for. But in actuality, when I don't drink, I am my most self. And when I did drink, what I realized was I was numbing out my light. I really was dimming my light and I was numb to all of the magic that I had within me. And being able to now lead with that and have all of my light feels so good. And I think I want to start by saying that, alcohol in our society is such a normal thing. And for so many of you who are listening who do love alcohol, that's fine. Like, it is so fine. Everyone deserves to make their choice, as I said. And for me, what I realized was because it was such a normal thing and because I was surrounded in it for so long that I never got to make my own choice in choosing to say no. So it's really wild now to be on the other side of making that choice and realizing how much of a social phenomenon having a drink is. Like, even thinking of these things that we do, like happy hour, going out to the bar, like everything kind of does revolve around drinking. And I totally understand that. So when you decide to not say yes to something that everyone else is doing, it always comes with a why. It always comes with, oh, like you are different. And I am so here to empower you that being different is amazing. You choosing yourself and going against the grain is amazing and deserves to be celebrated. Why are you always trying to fit in when you're so meant to stand out? And being different is something that is so meant to be celebrated now. And I'm so here for you if you have been in a friend group in the past where you really do want to fit in, but just know that like you can be different and that can absolutely be celebrated. And I'm so excited for that for you. When I was recording this episode, a lot of you were asking how to not feel isolated when you're making a decision to not drink, but everyone else around you is still drinking. You can still be a part of the group and you can still be at the happy hour if you want. You can still, of course, I'm still at all the weddings, all the birthday parties. I mean, I was literally just on a couple's trip to Colorado this past weekend where, of course, everyone was drinking, but it's giving yourself permission to do you when everyone else is doing them. And I have found that this actually is not isolating at all, that I'm still fully a part of the group and still feel so welcome to be in the group, but I'm able to honor what I need in those group settings at the same time. With this topic of alcohol, for me to really do it justice and for you to really understand my heart of why I've made this decision to not drink, there is a lot that I want to share and a lot that I am willing to share with the intention of hopefully you feeling seen in some of my story with maybe something you've dealt with, or maybe getting the inspiration to have a conversation around something that's been affecting you in a similar way. And really just giving myself the permission right now to be super vulnerable with you. And I've shared bits and pieces of this in the past, and it's something really close to home for me. I didn't just wake up one day and say, you know what, I'm going to live life without alcohol. Let's see what this is like. This was definitely a long time coming for me. So I want to start back in my childhood. I was raised in such a loving family, and I'm so grateful for that. And a part of my childhood experience was definitely witnessing someone that I loved with my whole heart, that I looked up to with the biggest, brightest eyes, deeply struggle with her relationship with alcohol. And that was my mom. My mom was an alcoholic my entire life. And this is something that I've just started talking about. And I think a lot of the reasons why were because when my mom was alive, I really wanted to honor her privacy. And it didn't feel like it was my story to share. But if you don't know, my mom passed away in December of 2022. And a lot of my grief and a lot of my meaning making has actually come forward when I give myself permission to share. And while it was my mom's story, it's obviously impacted me as her daughter. And by witnessing her life, I've been able to make very conscious decisions about my own life. And that is my story to share. And I'm so here today to share more about that. So my childhood had a lot to do with wondering why someone that I loved so much would choose to drink and choose to hurt themselves and choose to numb their own light. And now that I'm older, I look back and my mom used it as a way to cope. My mom had a literal disease that is addiction. And there was nothing that I could do to get her out of that. And it had nothing to do with how much she loved me. My mom loved me so much, guys. Like, I am tearing up just thinking about it. She was such an amazing mom, but she was dealing with some demons that had to do with alcohol. And it really changed who she was. And as a kid, when you don't really understand why your parent feels different, you don't understand how alcohol can impact people's moods, and maybe they start slurring their words, or they can't drive, or all of these things that come out of what happens when you drink. As a kid, you're just like, what is going on? Like, that's not my mom. I love my mom. Where's my mom? And then I became a teenager and I started to make some more meaning around it. And my mom would get treatment and come back, and she was never able to get a really great grasp around her drinking. And my brother and I always kind of feared what her relationship with alcohol was going to lead to. When she passed away, oh my gosh, I feel like so much came up from our childhood and so much of her story. That is when I took a really hard look in the mirror and I said, alcohol has hurt me so much. Alcohol has hurt people I love so much. Why would I continue saying yes to something that has hurt me? Why would I continue saying yes to something that has hurt people I love? And that is when I made this decision for myself. But it took a lot of years of me experimenting on my own. When I was in high school, I remember a lot of my friends were starting to drink, and that was at a time where, you're in the friend group. We all have these like mirror neurons where you see someone doing something and you try it too. I remember tasting my first beer at my friend Christy's house party in high school and being like, ew, it literally tasted so gross, but everyone loved it and it was the cool thing to do. And that led to a lot of other high school parties where I would continue to drink. And I was in this experimenting phase. And then I went off to college, where I feel like a lot of us got our first taste for freedom. And I hadn't really coped with a lot of what came out of my childhood. A lot of that trauma actually led to a lot of dissociation for me and a lot of escapism. And it was such an easy way for me to escape with alcohol. In college, I was drinking heavily. I wasn't just experimenting anymore. I was getting really drunk. I was getting so drunk that I didn't know what I was doing. I would wake up and have had nights where I literally don't even remember what happened. I would have mornings where I would get sick from drinking so much that I was literally poisoning my body. I wouldn't be able to make it to class. I felt like shit. I had to sleep all day. I never really got a hold of it in college. And I think that I'm really grateful to have watched a shift in a lot of the college experience from when I am able to connect with girls and women who are in college right now and they are working out and they're prioritizing their health. Where when I was in school, I felt like the drunker you were, the more accepted you were. Like, it was such a social norm to drink that heavy and that often. When I graduated and moved to Los Angeles to start my career, I brought a lot of those behaviors with me. I remember my older brother, who I was working with in LA, would start making comments like, wow, Sam, you got really drunk. Like, are you okay? Like, what is going on? Now, hindsight 2020, I knew I was escaping something. And for those of you who know my story, I had a really long period of time where I felt very dissociated from my body and I did not take care of myself. This led to what then started my weight loss journey, which I'm so grateful for, and my entire health journey, and starting to make really, really, really important decisions for myself around being my best self. And alcohol was a big part of that. I stopped drinking heavily. And once I knew I wanted to be working out at least 4 or 5 times a week, there was no staying out until 3 a.m. and taking 10 shots or having all these drinks. If I knew I wanted to make my 8 a.m. workout, I had to be in bed, and I definitely did not want to drink and carry that into my workout the next day. When I started caring about the food that I was putting into my body, I also started noticing the alcohol that I was continuing to drink. And I think this is that point in your life where you start taking inventory of everything. And oh my gosh, because I started to give a shit about my health and my body, alcohol became such an obvious no for me. But it took years of my health journey to say full send, no, I'm not choosing alcohol anymore. I would still have a glass of red wine here and there. I was drinking very lightly, but it was still a part of my life. And I'm really proud of myself for really figuring out when I wanted to make that decision versus just doing 0 to 100. Because I think in most health journeys, a lot of people go from 0 to 100. And for me, it took me a while. It took me a while to get a really great grasp over my own health while still choosing drinks here and there. And then, as I mentioned, my mom passed away. My mom passing away was the hardest thing that I have ever had to go through. For anyone listening who's lost a parent, it's a pain that I cannot even describe. And then on top of that, losing a parent who had struggled for so long with something. Oh my God, it just really made me reevaluate everything. And I also just want to share that if anyone listening is struggling with addiction or struggling with someone that they love who is struggling with addiction, we will absolutely share resources for you. When my mom died and I knew that there had been alcohol involved, I was heartbroken. It was so much of my entire life's worth of fears on display right in front of me. It really just broke my heart into a million pieces. And in those moments where you hit rock bottom, you're able to see yourself in a light of so much power, of saying, this is my life to live. How am I making choices that reflect me living my best life? And from that point forward, I said no to alcohol. It was the easiest decision for me to make at that point. And I'm so proud of myself for being able to have the confidence of what I knew I needed versus continuing to allow for something that hurt me and hurt so many people I loved to continue writing my story. So here I am, a year without alcohol, a year of choosing to not numb out, a year of choosing to not dim my light, a year of being able to wake up in the morning and feel my best self, a year of having so much confidence and so much joy from within, and a year of really getting to know myself so deeply. I want to start with what this year has looked like socially. And I know that I already mentioned this, but I've been really social this year. Guys, I've been to over 20 weddings in the last year and a half. I have been on bachelorettes. I have been on couples trips. I've been on girls trips. I've been to happy hours. I have been to birthday parties. I've been to so many dinners with so many drinks. And so many of the questions that I got around this episode are, how do you not feel pressure to drink? How do you choose yourself when everyone else is doing something different? And as I shared, one of my biggest takeaways are that my inner circle did not judge me for a second. And I'll also share that I never judged them. And when people who love you watch you make good choices for you, and they feel that these choices aren't just you following a trend, they're you choosing self and you choosing your best self, they're going to meet you with so much encouragement. I have found that when I'm meeting new people, let's say I'm at a wedding and I'm at the bar and I get my mocktails of choice, which I'll totally go through. But let's say I'm getting my club soda with a splash of lime. I might share with someone who asks, oh, you're not getting the specialty cocktail for the bride and groom? No, I actually don't drink. That's what I say. And a lot of people ask me, oh, why don't you drink? Really wanting the big story. And what I want to share is that I know when it's right and safe for me to share my truth. And my truth doesn't always have to be the length of this podcast episode. My truth doesn't always have to include that, my mom was an alcoholic and I need to make better choices for my life. It doesn't need to include that I used to dissociate and escape from my life by drinking and binge drinking alcohol. It can include something as simple as, I just really love feeling my best and I'm such a morning person. And for me, alcohol doesn't really have a place in my life. Or it can look like, I really don't like the taste of it. Never have, and I just don't love it. It can be as lighthearted as you choose, but it can also be as deep as you choose. So I want to give you full permission to feel and do what is the most safe for you. And a lot of the times life can be really lighthearted and it's easy to just stay in that. So I pick and choose when I tell my full truth or when I share little bits of my truth, because in full honesty, I really don't like the taste of alcohol and I do really love my mornings. So it's up to you how you want to share. If you are in a friend group where people are pressuring you to do what they're doing, I am so here to remind you that you are truly a sacred mirror reflecting everyone else around you. So when you are making big choices for yourself and you're saying no to something that someone else might be struggling with, or they're just really not in a place where they could ever relate, that has nothing to do with you and everything to do with your friend. And it's not for you to force them to see it that way. That's not your responsibility. So if you feel like other people are pressuring you to do what they're doing, guess what? That's their weight to hold. It's not yours. Don't wear their pressure for them. It's not your weight to hold. You get to have choice in this life. You get to choose what is meant for you and what is not meant for you. And your friend has that same choice. And those choices don't actually need to be the same. Even with my husband, for example, I got a lot of questions. Does Andrew drink? Yes, Andrew does drink. Andrew loves a good tequila or whiskey, and he loves a glass of red wine when we're on vacation in a place that's known for their wine. And I will say that Andrew's really, really, really respectful of the choices that I make, and I'm so grateful for him for being so respectful of that. But I also give him the full opportunity to drink if he wants to drink, as with all my friends. Oh my God, so many of my best friends have so many spritzes, these Aperol spritzes they're obsessed with. And I love that for them. And we don't need to do what everyone else around us is doing. So just give yourself that permission of, okay, if someone is judging me, I'm not here to carry that weight for them. And I'm also not here to judge them for doing something different than what I would choose. This is our life where we have choice. I know I shared in college that a big way of how I coped with my trauma was through drinking. And if you can relate to that, I want to share some new ways of how I now cope with a lot of the things that I deal with. And without having alcohol, I've now turned to really long walks. I love going for a really long walk when someone else might go and pour themselves a drink. I love going downstairs and hugging Andrew and just telling him how I feel and really learning how to communicate through those times versus leaning on alcohol. I also love hanging out with my friends and finding the simple joys and doing really lighthearted, fun, almost like childhood type of things that don't really include alcohol, whether that's a workout or going out on the boat or doing a new activity. I just got all my friends together to do a pottery class the other day, and I find that my favorite activities don't even have room for alcohol. And that's really me leading with my inner child now, which is my full personality and what I love to channel. But there are so many amazing ways that you can cope that don't really need to lean on alcohol. And I'm so grateful to now have that in my past and to be able to lean on such healthy things that allow me to cope in such healthy ways. Okay, mocktails. This is such a fun question that I get asked. I have to say, even though I'm such a wellness girly, when everyone else around me is ordering a drink, I do love a Diet Coke. I really love a Diet Coke. And I wish that we were at the point where every restaurant carried Poppy and Olipop and all these better for you options. But a Diet Coke does go a long way for me if I just need something different than water. When I'm out and I'm going to go more mocktail route, I love a club soda with any fruit juice. So I love grapefruit juice. I love getting some lime juice. I also love club soda with a bunch of lemons, like a party of lemons. I want like at least 5 lemons in there. It's so good. And honestly, I feel like gives that same fun and flirty vibe of what like having a cocktail does and just being able to hold that in your hand. There's so many alternatives now too. There's so many non-alcoholic wines. There's so many, oh my gosh, like Kin is really good. There's so many different options now that are alcohol free that I think a lot of people love. I really love water at the end of the day. And I think when I'm sitting down and I want something more experiential, another really fun thing that I'll do is I'll ask what types of hot tea that restaurants have when everyone's getting like a really fun cocktail. I'm like, ooh, like what types of tea do you have? And they bring out the kettle and the cute little teapot and you get your little mug and they bring out all the options. And what's funny is so many people around me and so many of my friends will then want tea too, because it's just such an experience and you get to pick your flavor and all of that. And it's so good for you. So you can really have fun with it. I'm still trying out a lot of these non-alcoholic alternatives, but because I feel so safe not drinking when I'm out, I'm really good with just a club soda or even a water. I find when I'm at weddings, I dance so much that I like need to rehydrate. So I'm at that water station all the time. But so here, if y'all are listening and have any non-alcoholic recs that you think I should try. So all in all, I just want to share that this has been one of the best choices that I have ever made in my life. And it's a choice that I'm really excited to continue making for myself. And I love not putting this like huge label on it and saying that I'm sober and like putting myself in a box, because no one deserves to live in a box and you don't deserve to need a label to choose to say yes to something. So this is something that I really am going to continue to say yes to, living my life alcohol-free, having so much confidence that I'm so grateful to have found from within, being able to go to so many social events and feel so good in my own skin, and being able to reparent a very younger version of myself who, gosh, was wondering why for so long and had to struggle for so long in witnessing what someone who struggles with addiction, how they can indirectly impact my life. And knowing that when I'm a mom one day, I really, really, really want to continue to make these good choices for myself and really just share to hopefully inspire you wherever you're at in your journey of choosing yourself. At the end of the day, this is about alcohol, but it also is really so much more about you saying yes to you, you choosing what feels authentic to you, you being able to do you and let everyone else around you do them. And I'm so here for you if you're curious into saying yes to what a life looks like without alcohol. My DMs are always open for you guys to continue to have this conversation with me. If you have any more questions that this conversation is bringing up, feel free to comment them or DM them to me. And I also just want to say again, if you are someone who is struggling, from the bottom of my heart, I am so here for you, walking right alongside you as someone who can totally relate. And we will share so many resources because addiction is a real thing. And we all can share our stories around it. And it breaks hearts. It changes lives. And I know for me, coming out the other side, I'm really, really, really empowered to make good decisions for myself. And I'm so excited for you to give yourself permission to do the same. I love you guys so much. I'm so grateful to have this opportunity to chat with you. And I'm so here to talk more. I love you, and I'll see you in the next episode.